Success is not the problem. It's the measurement you never questioned. And at some point, you stopped asking how to get more of it, and you start asking a different question. What is this for now? Because there's a moment when many successful people eventually reach where the life they built still works, but the definition of success that brought them here no longer fits who they're becoming. From the outside, everything still looks successful, but internally, something has shifted. Not because you failed, because you've outgrown the scorecard. That's what we're talking about today. Significance beyond success, where you stop chasing proof and start building from truth. Welcome back to your Passion, Purpose, and Personal Brand. I'm Lisa McGuire, and this is the last stage in the identity evolution journey. And I want you to hear this clearly. This is not the end of something. This is the moment where you stop measuring your life by something that no longer fits. And if you've been listening to the series and you found yourself somewhere in it, make sure you're subscribed, because this isn't a one-time realization. This is something you will see again and again and again. And each time you do, you'll be asking a deeper question. So let's start here. What is success, really? And I want you to answer that honestly, not the version you've been taught, the version you've been living. Because for some of you, success has been about money, how much you make, how much you keep, and what you've built. For others, it's been about freedom, not having to think twice, not worrying about survival, being able to choose. And for some, if we're really honest, success has been about how it looks, what people think about you, what they assume about your life, and what your success signals to the outside world. And none of this is wrong. It worked. It got you here. But here's the part most people skip. At no point were you taught to stop and ask, is this actually mine? You were given a definition and you followed it because it made sense, because it worked, because it was rewarded. And now you're at a point where it still works, but something in you no longer is responding to it. And that's the point people try to fix. They think, I need a new goal. I need a different strategy. I need to level up again. But no, that's not what's really happening. What's happening is this. You've reached the point where success is no longer enough. And I want to be very precise here. That doesn't mean you don't want success. It means success is no longer the thing that organizes your life. And that's a very different place to stand. I see this come in waves. Some of you hit this in your mid to late 30s. You've done everything right, built the career, and followed the plan. And you wake up and think, is this it? Not dramatically. It's a quiet question you ask that starts getting louder. Others hit this in their 40s. You understand how to create stability, and you know how to produce results. But the question shifts from how do I build this to what does this actually mean? And then another layer comes up. Some people, usually later, where something settles in you. You're not chasing anymore. You're seeing what matters, what doesn't. And the question becomes, what is worth my energy now? And underneath that, what will remain when I'm not the one doing the work anymore? This is the shift into significance, and most people misunderstand it. They think it's about giving back or doing more or creating impact. No, it's about reorganizing your life around truth instead of proof. Because by the time you get here, you've already done something important. You've stabilized your identity. Not perfectly, but enough. It's enough to know what's true and what's not, where you belong, where you don't. And once that stabilizes, everything changes. You no longer chase clients, over-explain your value, perform for approval. And if you're honest, you can feel where you can still do that. And you begin to attract, resonate, and create from truth. Not because you learned something new, because you stopped organizing yourself around being accepted. Let me say this plainly. A lot of people call success is really performance that got rewarded. And that performance was often built from real gifts. But those gifts were arranged in a way that made you acceptable, not fully expressed. And eventually, you feel that. You feel it when you're in a conversation and you know exactly what you want to say, but you don't. You feel it when you explain something that doesn't actually need explaining. You feel it when you shrink something so it lands better. That's not a skill issue. That's a misalignment of identity. So we're not throwing success away. We're redefining it from something you achieve to something you express. For me, this is the work that matters most. Watching someone realize they don't need to fix themselves, they need to understand themselves. And once they do, everything they've been trying to force starts to reorganize. If you've been with me through this series, you've already walked this path. You told yourself the truth. You recognized you were successfully stuck. You felt the identity start to break apart, and you hit the point where you couldn't go back. You stepped into a different level of leadership, and you started to see what's actually yours. You worked to hold it under pressure, and now you're here. And this is the moment where the question changes. Not how do I get more, but what is worth building from who I am now? That question will change everything, because this doesn't change your business. It changes how you relate to people. You stop having surface level conversations. You stop performing your way through connection. You stop trying to be understood by everyone. And you start recognizing who actually sees you, who meets you, and who doesn't. And you make different decisions. So let me ask you something. Where are you still measuring your life by a definition of success you never questioned? Where are you still performing in places that no longer require it? Where are you still chasing something that doesn't actually feel meaningful anymore? And where, if you're really honest, do you already know the answer, but you haven't fully acted on it yet? If this series has stayed with you, share it. Not because you should, because someone else in this moment right now doesn't have the language for it. And if you've had a favorite episode, tell me. I want to hear what really stayed with you. And if you're at the point where you know you're no longer available to build from who you had to be, that's the work I do, helping you define your category of only. Not as positioning, as identity, so you can build from truth instead of proving your value. You don't need to chase someone else's version of success. You don't need to perform your way into meaning, and you don't need to explain what you already know. Stand in it. Let it organize your life and build from there. Thanks so much for spending this time with me today. I'll see you here for next episode.